Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Q&A video on the Wolves Crypto YouTube channel. Probably one of my favorite things to do on the channel here because I get to hear from you guys and get to hear what you guys are interested about in the market, what you guys are seeing in the market that perhaps I'm not seeing, and then I get to respond to it. And it's usually very, very insightful. So we've got a bunch of questions here today about MicroStrategy stock, which doesn't sound relevant, but it actually is. MicroStrategy stock is matching Bitcoin's price action and outperforming Bitcoin dramatically. It's not without risk though. We'll discuss that today. We'll discuss my 8-year ascending resistance line and why I'm drawing that the way I am drawing it. We'll discuss the altcoin market, Ethereum, whether or not Ethereum will be replaced, whether or not Ethereum will catch up this cycle, as well as altcoins. We'll discuss when I think it's a good time to purchase either Bitcoin or altcoins in the coming weeks. What I think about doing, investments with your money in the bear market, where to put your money in the bear market. Do you go real estate? Do you go perhaps term deposits, right? Do you go bank yields? Do you go dividends? What do you do with the money in a bear market? Obviously not financial advice, but just a few comments there and thoughts. I'll discuss the future of altcoins with the oversaturation we are seeing, whether altcoins will completely become a thing of the past or not. I'll discuss whether or not we are in the final phase of the bull run. And I'll reply to a question someone has here about them being very desperate and in a bad position mentally, seeing cryptocurrency as gambling and no longer believing in cryptocurrency. I've got a few things to respond to there. So I'm actually going to split up these questions into a 2-part video. This is the first part. In this part, we'll answer about 5 of them. And in the next one, we'll answer about another 5 of them. And that next video will be coming out in about 8 hours. I'm doing this to avoid having one 35-minute video. It's just ridiculous. I usually post 10-minute videos on this YouTube channel, and having a 35-minute video out of nowhere will destroy me in the algorithm, quite frankly. And for that reason, I'm going to split it up into 2 parts, make it more digestible. But guys, before we get into it today, guys, we have an exchange here that has never been hacked before in 3.5 years of being on the market. That is global non-KYC. You can sign up from anywhere in the world and use this exchange without a VPN. And furthermore, with my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount attached to your account for life, as well as $8,000 plus USDT in trading rewards added to your account as trading bonuses for signing up with my referral link down below. This is big stuff here. It's an excellent deal. I reached out to them for partnership. They did not reach out to me. I don't get paid by them. The only thing I get is a referral link. And if you want all those things I just mentioned, which you should, trust me, I've done the scouting of the market, you can use my link down below to sign up. It takes 30 seconds and you'll get those rewards and bonuses and you'll help out the channel. I appreciate that, guys. Let's get into the content. First question here is about MicroStrategy in relation to Bitcoin, MicroStrategy stock in particular. Now, I haven't answered this question in the previous 2 Q&As because I just don't have much to say about it. I also don't think it's strictly crypto related. However, I'm willing to answer it today because I do think there are interesting things going on in the MicroStrategy stock regardless. And I do have some thoughts on it vaguely, so it might not specifically answer the question, but I'll give what I can here. So MicroStrategy, of course, Michael Saylor, everyone knows, big Bitcoin bull. MicroStrategy's been buying Bitcoin relentlessly for about 5 years now. And what we've actually seen is that their entire company and their stock valuation is basically riding off the back of Bitcoin's success at this point, okay? No one really cares about MicroStrategy if not for Bitcoin, and that is really true. We can see the stock price just completely flatlining for like 20 years, 15 years, and then finally when they got into Bitcoin, what you see is that it completely mirrors Bitcoin's price action. This is the Bitcoin chart in red, layered over the MicroStrategy stock price, and you can see literally whatever Bitcoin does, the MicroStrategy chart does as well. And this means that in answering your question, when Bitcoin tops, it's highly, highly likely that MicroStrategy will top too, as per what happened in 2021 at the top, and as per what happened at the bottom in 2022, right? When Bitcoin bottomed, MicroStrategy bottomed as well. Now, I suppose the question is MicroStrategy a worthy investment for this reason instead of Bitcoin? And well, it depends because, of course, MicroStrategy is dramatically outperforming Bitcoin in percentage format. So it's upwards about 4,000% from the lows, while Bitcoin is upwards only, let's just see here, about 600% from the lows. So yes, it's actually dramatically outperforming Bitcoin in percentage valuation. So it's matching Bitcoin price action perfectly, and it's doing much better than Bitcoin in percentage valuation. And so you might conclude that it's a very, very good investment and way better to invest in than Bitcoin. And you could be right. However, we have to consider as well that it's also incredibly much more higher risk. Because again, the only reason that MicroStrategy is doing this, as we know by 15 years of flatlining, is because of Bitcoin. And so if there's any changes to what the company is doing or what the company, how the company behaves, or Michael Saylor himself perhaps gets sick, has to leave the company, or something happens, he gets booted from the company, okay? If anything changes at all in the way MicroStrategy is reacting to Bitcoin, this stock valuation is not going to be going well because it relies pretty much solely on Bitcoin. So it's very much a high risk, high reward situation. And it's very much a situation which is completely unpredictable. It's a gamble, right? Do you want to run the risk of buying this, okay, seeking higher returns than Bitcoin based off Bitcoin technical analysis, knowing that if something happens to the company, independent of Bitcoin, this stock will fall apart regardless? It's up to you to decide that. I will also mention, right, that although it's dramatically, outperforming Bitcoin in gains, it also dramatically outperforms Bitcoin in losses, okay? So a Bitcoin correction in the bull market that went downwards 70%, went downwards 90% on MicroStrategy. So it's more volatile to both the upside and the downside. It's high risk, high reward. It very much depends on what your risk tolerance is and how much you trust the company itself. But as for when it will top out and when it will bottom out, it should match Bitcoin until something internally changes. So I suppose it's a decent opportunity for an investment. You just have to know that you are taking a gamble, and you're taking an unpredictable gamble, as per the word gamble there, because you don't know the internals of the company. And if the company changes in any way in its reaction to Bitcoin, this could completely fall apart. I also will mention, we are on the back end of a bull market now, cyclically speaking. We've got about 5 to 6 months left. And again, it does dramatically outperform Bitcoin in gains, but it also dramatically outperforms Bitcoin in losses as well. So holding into a bear market would actually be a pretty idiotic idea. Here's a question about an 8-year-long resistance line that I've been using on Bitcoin. Let me just show you what that is. So we have, and in fact, I'll go to the weekly chart to show you, it'll just be a lot easier. We have a resistance line on Bitcoin, stepping backwards from 2017. That cuts through the 2021 all-time highs and cuts through the recent highs as well, right? We also have, by the way, matching this, a support line stemming backwards from 2021 that cuts through the 2021 highs and offered support on multiple occasions in this little plateau we formed right here, and has offered support again in recent weeks. If we zoom into a daily chart, you can see that both these lines are incredibly valid. They hold true to the price action. The price action respects them heavily, and that is very clearly our current macro range between this red line here from 2017 and this line here from 2021. Now, the red line from 2017 specifically is what he is asking about. He's saying, why are you drawing this red line on the linear scale instead of the logarithmic scale? Because the logarithmic scale is generally what you use to draw lines on higher time frames. Now, let me just be very clear. You draw lines on whatever time frame and whatever scale that it works to draw them on. That's the simple reality of TA. Whatever scale a price line is reacting to, if the price here, and let's just use this as an example, 2017, 1 retest, 2 retests right here, 3 retests, 4 retests, 5 retests, 6 retests. If there is 6 retests on a line that is 8 years old from 2017, it is very clearly a valid line regardless of the nuances of the scale you were using, unless you were claiming that this line is a coincidence, in which case, I don't know what to tell you. It's not a coincidence. The chances of this line right here on the linear scale being a coincidence and lining up perfectly with all of these retests over 8 years total is below 0.1% in my estimation. So although logarithmic scale is, you're correct, typically used to draw lines on macro timeframes like this, looking back 8 years, for example, that is only true because it's clearer and easier to see what happens with logarithmic lines on macro timeframes. You simply cannot draw a line backwards even further from something like 2016 on a linear time frame because you can't see the bloody price chart. And humans, right, move markets. Humans click buy and sell. And so what humans can see is what is reacted to. The fact that they cannot see what's going on here in 2016, 2014, 2013 easily on the linear time frame means that any lines from back then wouldn't be valid and wouldn't be identifiable. And the fact that they wouldn't be identifiable means, by the way, they wouldn't be valid because they're not identifiable, hence they can't be reacted to. That's why people use logarithmic time frames. So scales doesn't necessarily matter. There's not like a cutoff date. It's not like, oh, after 4 years, you can't use the linear scale anymore. It's what you can see and what is being reacted to that is valid. The reason why logarithmic scale is used on larger time frames typically is because you cannot see the candles on linear time frames, as you can see from price action back here, whereas you can very clearly see 2017 from the linear time frame, and hence it works. Second question, which will probably answer a few questions that have been left here. Is there a chance that Ethereum will make an all-time high this cycle or not? We don't have much time left. So the cycle, of course, by the 4-year cycle standard, will end in around October or November this year, and hence we have about 5 to 6 months remaining until the cycle ends. That's not a lot of time. And Ethereum is quite significantly far away from its all-time high. Ethereum sits here at 2,600 USD. Its all-time high is way up here at 4,800. It's about 89% away. Do I think that Ethereum will get there? I think that Ethereum has a very strong possibility of getting there, and I'll tell you why. But it's not without risk, okay? Ethereum is, let's not get it twisted, very much weaker than it was in prior cycles. Altcoin market in general is in a lot weaker position than it was in prior cycles. Let's be very clear. Altcoin season should have started by now, okay? It should have started 6 months ago, for God's sake. And that's actually, I'm not just saying that because I'm frustrated. I'm saying that because it's a fact, right? Bitcoin dominance is the only means through which you should be measuring an altcoin season. And if we look historically speaking, from when Bitcoin dominance started dropping to the end of the cycle on both prior occasions, both cyclical occasions prior to this one, in 2017 and 2021, it took exactly 322 days for us to see a valid altcoin season lasting the same period of time as we saw in 2017 and 2021, and hence a comparable altcoin season to the last 2 cycles. It would have had to start back here in November. So I'm not lying when it should have started, when I say it should have started 6 months ago. It literally should have started 6 months ago. Altcoin season, for whatever reason, and I think there are a bunch of reasons, one of them being this market environment of long sweeping consolidations on Bitcoin that we see here, rather than this big steady move to the upside like we saw in 2017 and 2021, is not conducive to altcoin price action, right? 8 months consolidation, 6 months consolidation here, another 7 months over here. This is not a market environment in which altcoins thrive. This market environment in 2017, where you just go straight upwards basically, and 2021, or again, you just go straight upwards for a long period of time, that is when altcoins thrive, because altcoins thrive on hype and greed. And when you see an 8-month consolidation, you're not getting hype and greed in the market. Simple as that. So we should have seen altcoin season start if we were going to see a normal cycle back here in November last year, but instead we're here in March with 5 to 6 months left, and altcoin season still has not started. So the question is, will we see Ethereum see all-time highs, and hence will we see an altcoin season? Because basically, when you ask, will we see Ethereum see all-time highs, you're basically asking, will we see an altcoin season? Because Ethereum's not getting to all-time highs without an altcoin season. That's just simply true. I mean, if you look at the bulk of the Ethereum gains that we saw here in February 2024, okay, that all happened during a period of time in which Bitcoin dominance had stagnated for about 2 months on end, stagnated. You look at the second wave of Ethereum price action, which happened back here in November 2024, right here, that happened during a period of time in which Bitcoin dominance actually dropped very significantly. It looked like we may have been seeing the start of altcoin season at that point. In fact, when that occurred, I released a video saying this could be the altcoin season, because we dropped downwards about 10% on Bitcoin dominance at the exact period of time which we were meant to see an altcoin season. I do think that was when altcoin season was meant to start, and it didn't, unfortunately. But okay, let's get back to the topic at hand. Will Ethereum see all-time highs? Well, it kind of relies on us seeing some sort of altcoin season, and I do think we will see some sort of altcoin season if Bitcoin does continue going upwards as expected, and that is because Ethereum and Ethereum BTC, which is the Ethereum chart measured against Bitcoin, are at significant trigger points, and because Ethereum itself has outperformed Bitcoin quite dramatically in the last month of bullish price action on Bitcoin. Ethereum's upwards about 100% in this last month, and Bitcoin is only upwards about 60%. So Ethereum has basically doubled Bitcoin's performance in the last month, which has given a bit of optimism back to the Ethereum chart. And we can see that Ethereum is now stationed between its bull market support band and 200 simple moving average, compressing between those two indicators. And that compression could be the catalyst for another big move to the upside. On top of this, and more majorly, we have the Ethereum BTC chart, which has been getting wrecked for basically years on end, finally coming to a point where it's pressing up against this momentum indicator resistance. If we see a momentum breakout there, that should match on the price chart, and we should see a surge in Ethereum valuation against Bitcoin. So I don't think it's particularly unlikely that Ethereum could reach all-time highs this cycle. I think it's very much possible, but it's not a zero risk circumstance. If Ethereum and altcoins simply just keep performing absolutely horribly, which will probably occur if Bitcoin keeps up these long sweeping consolidations, it wouldn't be surprising to me to see Ethereum and altcoins stay pretty much dampened But if we do see some sort of parabolia on the Bitcoin charts, I very much expect Ethereum and altcoins to follow suit. So it actually depends a lot on Bitcoin's behavior in the coming months rather than on Ethereum's behavior, because Ethereum's behavior and hence the altcoin market's behavior is reliant on Bitcoin. If Bitcoin has a parabolic couple of legs in the next 6 to 5 months, we will see most likely Ethereum and altcoins follow suit. However, if Bitcoin just moves upwards a little bit and then consolidates for freaking 4 months again, right, we're not going to see anything. We have a very, very, very strong opportunity on Ethereum. Ethereum dominance against Bitcoin, Ethereum BTC chart, and Ethereum itself at very strong breakout points, trigger points. We just need to see the catalyst. We just need to see Bitcoin lead the way. And these things very much should blast off. So yes, even though Ethereum's done terribly this cycle so far, I do actually see it as the more likely scenario that Ethereum reaches all-time highs, just not without risk. Part 2 of this Q&A will be releasing in about 8 hours from now, so keep an eye out on this YouTube channel. We've got some more questions to answer there. I just split it up because I didn't want to have one 30-minute video. I'd rather have 2 15-minute videos. Usually my videos are about 10 minutes long, so a 30-minute video out of nowhere just seems ridiculous. Guys, if you enjoyed this content and you got something useful out of the Q&A here today, check out the Bitunix Exchange. It's global, non-KYC, with unrestricted access from anywhere in the world, no VPN required. It's never been hacked before, and it's been on the market for 4 years, so it's an incredibly good track record. Hundreds of trading pairs there as well, so you're not going to miss out on any of your favorite coins to trade or any coins you want to buy. And guys, with my referral link down below, you can get a 15% trading fee discount attached to your account for life, as well as up to $8,000 in sign-up rewards, just with that link down below. So sign up in the description or the pinned comment. I appreciate you.